welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria, and we are going to be working in my Chunky Monkey Butterfly Junk Journal, which is almost full, just a couple more pages to go. And the first spread we're going to be working on is a collage, and the second one will be a house that we're going to make according to Maud's prompts. This is still from her March prompt list, and I will also have an April prompt list for you, which I actually haven't managed to start working on, but Maud has, and I will be linking to her video or her channel actually below. So for this collage, I wanted to use one of my vintage bird images that I have from a vintage book from Goodwill, and here is my scrap box with all of my scraps, which are in neutral colors. I love this box very much, and I have decluttered it a while ago. Maybe you've seen the video. If not, I'm happy to link it down below if you're interested. So it had a little tear in it, but that didn't really bother me. We're working on vintage things here, so we're not striving for perfection, we're striving for authenticity. So these are some of the elements I wanted to use for my background, and what I'm doing here is as usual, I'm using neutral colored background scraps, and I'm trying to frame my focal image. You cannot go wrong with that. If you're new to collaging, if you stick to that, you really cannot go wrong. I promise you. Please don't give up on collaging. I know it takes practice, but do not give up. You will get better with each collage you make. So just keep doing them. This piece is from a German ledger book. It's like almost like a transparent, or it's like a translucent paper, or almost like an onion skin, I guess. This is a random scrap from a digital print. I liked it because of the script. Just adds a little more interest. And that is all for the basic background we're going to be doing. So now is the time to glue all the pieces down. And in the meantime, I've been making some more collages in a different book. And I have started more and more to embrace the method of gluing top down, meaning you start with your focal piece and you start gluing it on the pieces that are right under it, and then under that, etc., etc. It takes some practice, but actually I'm starting to enjoy it. I was really struggling with this. Oh yeah, and look what happened. I completely tore this beautiful image because I had glue on the glue paper I was using, and when I tried to take it off, it completely tore. So that kind of broke my heart. Luckily, I did have a few more of these images from my book, so I'm trying to choose one of these images to be my new focal point, because we're not going to let something like that stop us. We're going to keep going until we have a collage we're happy with. So these are some of the beautiful, beautiful images. It was really a tough choice. I did want something with greenish colors in it just because of the page next to it. I wanted them to harmonize well. This one's actually really cool. But I chose this one, and the reason why I chose that one is because I have this little book. And by the way, if you're interested in seeing how I made that cover, I will link that video down below. It's just like the cover was there, but I didn't like it, so I covered it. And this is the phrase that I had remembered from my book. So it says, peep, 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 the tiny eggs had cracked open. Now it has, and it says, and we baby wrens something. I can't read it now anymore. So I have a tip for you. And so what I did was, I have this book, More Friends and Neighbors, and I'm sure some of you know this book. I think it's a well-known children's book. And I did get this at my Goodwill, and I got it specifically for the reason to cut phrases out. And it also has adorable images, some of which I am showing you here that I wanted to keep. And the reason why I chose this book was because you see the font is quite large, but not too large, and it's also spaced quite widely apart. And it has also a lot of like animal themed or nature themed stories in it. So this is great for collaging or pockets or any other projects. So I wanted to show you my process here. Maybe you can get this book somehow. I don't know, maybe you have a flea market, Goodwill, or maybe on eBay, Etsy, I don't know. You can maybe find it somewhere. But this is a style of book which is great for cutting phrases out. So what I do is I scan the pages and I try to see which phrases could make sense in a different context. So then I have my two beautiful boxes. These are from my bento stationery box from the beautiful Japanese stationery. And so I would cut them out. I would sit on the couch, usually watching a movie or something, and then doing this. And then I would keep all the phrases in my wooden box until I put them in my postage stamp album, which you just saw. So these are some of the phrases, just to show you what kind of phrases I would cut out. And of course, on their own, some of them don't make a lot of sense, but if you pair them up with an image, they can just be like really the final touch and make the whole project or collage just be something very special. And this is going to be unique because nobody else is going to have that phrase on a collage, probably. So what I'm doing here is I am just cutting those two separately, because I didn't want them to be in one piece of paper. That would have been too wide for my liking. And there was this one spot on the top left that I didn't like yet, so I wanted to find a scrap that would cover that up. So I tried this one first, but I didn't really like that. Next I tried this vintage lined paper, and I did like that better. Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the image well enough, but there are 3 baby birds in that nest, so that's why that phrase works so well with this image. Here I wanted to add some more washi tapes in colors that are already in the illustration to make them stand out more. So this washi is like an olive green from the company MT. I did buy it local, but I'm sure there are lots of stores you can get MT washis. And this is from a set from AliExpress. I have mentioned this set in a few of my other videos. I love these a lot, but they don't have a lot of washi on the rolls. So I think it's only maybe like 2 meters or something. It's really not a lot. It's basically a sample is what it is. But they're still great. I love them. I will use them all. And so what I'm doing now is I'm again using them kind of to frame my image, and I'm layering them a bit as well. And if you watch my videos and my collaging videos especially, you know that I always say it's good to have a triangle in your collage, especially with more dominant elements. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. You see I have a triangle forming around the image with my blue and green washis. And that just, it makes it cohesive and it makes it look balanced. So now it's time to glue down the focal image. And I also wanted to add some more washi on top. This is one from a beautiful Tim Holtz set. And by the way, whatever I can, as always, I will link down in my description box. I have this set from Amazon. So yeah, whatever I find that I can link, you're welcome to check out the links. Again, I am balancing those by putting it in 3 different spots. Now I'm gluing down my phrase from the book. And then I'm going to stamp the date, because I wanted this to have the date. First I'm actually stamping it with my Memento Espresso Truffle ink and this 12-digit roller stamp. and I'm stamping that onto what we call baking paper. You find it at your grocery store. You put it in the oven and it comes this color. You do not have to dye it. I don't know if you have that in North America, but we have it here, thankfully. And I know you can't read the date that well, but I didn't want it to be like a real element of the collage, like an element that would stand out. So I wanted it to blend into more of the background, which is why I chose to stamp it on something like this. I can still read it, that's all that matters. And this was the end of the collage for now, but when I was doing the voicemail or doing the editing, I decided this is not okay. And look at the difference now. All I did was I used my what is it called, distress stain in wild honey to add a few more accents on the sides and in the middle, and that just made it a lot more lively. So that goes to show that sometimes it's good to add contrasting colors to just wake a picture up or a collage up. So now you see in comparison, the other one kind of seems dead to me. So moving on to the page with the house. So Lovely Maud, as you might know, had these amazing prompts from March, and it's number 36, make a whole house out of designer paper scraps. So that was what I wanted to attempt to do, and I wanted to do it on the last page of my journal. And to make things easier for me, since it was so bulky, I decided to slip that page out to work on it more easily. So I'm taking all the ephemera out to make it less bulky, and now it was ready to work on. So this is my drawer with scraps of like designer paper and scrapbook paper. And I wanted to make this house a little more colorful than my current collages or other things that I've been doing. And so I dug to the bottom of my drawer to find some bright and papers with positive colors, happy colors, spring colors. And so I just chose a few, or actually I chose a lot. So many that I was still overwhelmed with the choice I had. Okay, so here you see I chose so many, which is why I then had such a hard time choosing what I wanted to work with, because I just had way too many choices here and I was overwhelmed. I don't know if that happens to you, but it definitely happened to me. So we're starting off by making a roof. So that was easy to choose. I wanted that paper to be my roof. So all I'm doing is I'm trying to eyeball what size I wanted my roof to be, looking at how big my page is, and then kind of going by maybe a fourth or a fifth of the page, I guess, and then to make the shape of the roof with my trimmer. So that was easy. And by the way, I'm following pretty closely to the example that Maud has in her video, so I will link her video down specifically down in the description box for you, because it is absolutely adorable. And I'm trying to follow what she does. I do make some other changes later, but the base is exactly what Maud does. And here is where I struggle a lot to decide on some papers, because all of these papers that I have here, you see they're very much in the pastel direction, and that can just kind of seem boring for me. I didn't want it to have such, let's say, weak colors. I needed something stronger there, and I had a hard time figuring out how I could make that work. So I keep going back and forth Not liking any of the choices I'm making. Nope, didn't like that either. But then I found this piece, yay! So that was a good start. Started all over again. That was a great one too. And of course it had to be something with pink and white because I always seem to go for pink and white. So I'm happy with this combination finally. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of measuring what the 3 pieces that I wanted to use as the base of my house, what size they should be. Pretty much filling out my whole page. There we go. So that's going to be the base of my house, sorry. And now, of course, I'm going to use my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide to distress all of the edges of all of the pieces. And once that is done, I'm going to glue them onto my book page, starting out with the piece that's on the bottom. I'm just using my glue stick for that. And then I'm going to always layer the pieces on top. I'm always layering it over the next piece a little bit, or overlapping it, that's the right word. All right, got our base down. And lastly, we have our roof. And then we're gonna, so this is not the book page actually I'm gonna put in my journal. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So this is another book page I wanted to use as a background for my house on which I could glue everything. And this is gonna go on my actual book page that will go to my journal. Now I thought for the window that we're gonna cut, it needed to have something behind it. So I wanted this cute little girl, and this stamp set is linked down below. So I wanted her to look through the window because she's the one that lives in that house and is quarantined at home, poor girl. And I have this set of rectangular or square die cuts, and I was trying to find out what size the window should be, and I decided for that one. So I went to my Big Shot and I cut out this window completely. Gonna of course ink up all the edges. And next I wanted to stamp her so that she would be looking out the window, and I'm going to stamp her on some coffee dyed paper. And I'm using again my espresso truffle memento ink, and I just kind of stamped her so that the top part of her is visibly well, because I don't care about the bottom. She's going to be cut off, the poor girl. But look, that's what she will look like looking out the window, because she's longing to be outside and have her normal life back, but she's got to stay inside for now. And then I wanted to have something else with her in the window, and I really wanted to have this cute bird with her, but he was looking the wrong way. For some reason, in my mind, he had to be looking at her and not away from her, so I didn't use her or use the bird. Instead, I went with this flower. So I thought, okay, if she doesn't have a bird, she has at least a beautiful flower. So I thought that went really well as well. So now I'm tracing my cutout from the window so that I could cut around it a little bigger than the outline that I had made. So I'm erasing that outline again. So now I would have the shape a little bigger than the window so that I could glue it behind the cutouts. And here I have some acetate from some packaging, because I thought, oh, if we're going to do a window, it needs to look like a window, and so it needed to be shiny. So I'm cutting out a piece of that as well. So I'm going to turn around our house, gonna put some glue around the frame, and then first put the acetate around it, and then put glue on the acetate and glue on our image. So we have the window. I was very, very happy with that. And next we also need a door, and this girl has a horse at home because the horse is also quarantined. And so we're gonna stamp the horse on the same coffee dyed paper, and he's going to be looking out the door. But he's a very good horse because he's not going outside. He's just in the living room looking out the open door. So we have to make a door. So here I'm trying to see where I want the door to be, and I wanted it, of course, to be big enough so the horse could look out. So that's what I'm doing here. So I've drawn the shape of the door, and now I'm just putting a cardboard underneath because I'm going to use my Stanley knife to cut the right side and the top side of the door because I did want it to actually open and close. I always think I'm horrible at working with these Stanley knives. It takes me so long to make the cuts. And at the door hinge, I am scoring that just to make it easier to bend it without tearing it. Just erasing my pencil lines, adjusting it a little bit, and then of course inking around that inside and outside because the door is going to open, so you have to ink on the inside as well if you want to ink. Now we're going to see what that looks like when the horse looks through the door. As you can see, I was having so much fun with this prompt. Maud did it again. She's amazing. And actually, I didn't know what to do with this prompt until I saw Maud's video. And then I was totally inspired to make my own. I immediately had to make my own house. And I'm so happy I did because this is like one of my favorite pages in my journal. And I think I mentioned it before, but please go check out Maud's April prompt list, which is linked below as well. There are lots of fun prompts on that one as well if you need more inspiration. So horse is there, and now we need a doorknob, and I have these very fun and cute brads that came in a Happy Mail a while ago. So I wanted to choose from one of these. I wanted it to be a pop of color, and typically I would obviously go for this one, the pink one, but in this case I actually wanted this light green one because I thought it would reflect the color of the roof, so it would kind of balance the image a little better. So I marked where I want the middle of that brad to go, and then I'm making a hole through the door, and then I'm going to push that brad through, secure it on the other side. You could cover that if you wanted to, but it doesn't bother me. So now we have a fun doorknob as well. And next I wanted to stitch around it. So here I'm showing you the stitching that I did. And what I did is I first stitched around the roof, then I stitched around the base of the house, and then I stitched around the window and then around the door. And if you don't have a sewing machine or you don't want to do it, you can just do faux stitching like Maud has done in her video. But I did want this extra texture, and I just love stitching on my pages. Next, I have this stamp set, and I will see if I can find that. This is also from AliExpress, and there's one that says Home Sweet Home. So could there be a page that is more perfect for this stamp? I don't think I've ever used it before. So this one just had to go on this house. So there it says Home Sweet Home. And next we're going to glue this house down onto our page. But we are not done. We're still going to add something. 2 more things, I think, or 3 more things. Just making sure it's stuck down really well. And I also wanted to add the prompt itself. So after inking that up, I'm trying to find a spot on the roof to add that too, so that I know why I made this house. Not that you need a reason, but it's nice to have the prompt there. And for some final touches, I did want to add some more bold color. So I wanted it to be a little more lively and fun, which is why I was looking through my bright pink ribbons that I have here. So I'm going to try out a few to see which ones should go where. So for the window, I decided to go with that one because that one kind of looks like they're flowers. So it looks like she has bright, colorful, cheerful flowers on her windowsill. And I did want something else. I wanted to put the pink somewhere else, and I was looking for the right spot. Yeah, so I really love these tiny pom-poms and decided that is the perfect place on the door. So I'm using my tacky glue. Now this is a very cute, cheerful house, inside and outside, because I mean, how could you not be happy having a horse in your house? Seriously. So now we're going to put it back into our journal. Slip it right back in there. I'm going to slip back all our ephemera into the pockets. And that completes today's episode. So go make a house. I know you have scraps laying around, tons of scraps. So use them, use the time you have at home and make a fun house. I promise you, you will love it. So thank you again so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, if you like these videos, and give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you and have a great day at home. Bye.